So once you've downloaded the app, you want to make sure that it's paired with your Cardo already, and then for the first time, go ahead and open it. It's going to ask you to either sign in or sign up, give you a few options. Let's run through the sign up portion of it. Enter an email, so I'll go ahead and enter my email address, first name, and last name. We'll go ahead and continue. Country, leave it as United States. I agree to the terms, and sign up. At this point, it's going to have me go to my inbox and verify the email. Welcome to Cardo, and click here. Okay, so the verification was a success, and now it's saying basically just go back to the mobile app, the Cardo Connect app, and it should come to life. It's now looking to make a connection to the unit. Right now I have it paired with this Packtalk Edge. There we go. Packtalk Edge is successfully connected. Now, name your unit. If you're using a DMC unit, you do want to go ahead and do that. By default, it's PT Edge. We're going to change it to Mike. Select your language, of which there's many different ones. We'll leave it on English. Next. And update your unit. If you've not updated your unit, or it's the first time you're opening the app and it's asking you to do that, go ahead and do it if you have the time. It takes about 7 to 8 minutes. Let's do it now. And when it comes to updating the unit, you just want to make sure that you keep the app open and that you keep close proximity to the unit that you're updating. Obviously, if you lose range, then the update would fail. And that's it. This is 100% wireless. We just wait. So the update is done. Let's go to finish. And for the first time, we see the actual home screen. So up at the top left, you see a little gear. That's where all of your settings are that we can adjust and change. I'll show you that here in a little bit. But on the home screen itself, you see phone, intercom, music, FM radio. Now the app knows the unit that it's paired with, and it's going to show you the features and options associated with that unit. For instance, if I have my phone paired with this Spirit model over here, you notice that there's no FM radio showing, there's no voice recording showing. Those simply are not capabilities of that unit, so we're not seeing them on the app. All right, back to the Packtalk Edge because it'll show us the most options. So let's start with phone. At the very top, you see set for speed dial. It's free, meaning that there's nothing associated to it. And the bottom three here are for favorite numbers. Now, the favorite number groups, those are just quick access for yourself if you're using the Cardo Connect app kind of bar mounted on the bike and it's just easy to access. You cannot access these from the headset itself, but the speed dial, you can. So let's set that, pull up my contacts, we'll type somebody in, and up at the top right, we're going to set that as my speed dial. So now Ron Man is my speed dial, and I can call the speed dial directly from the headset. With some of the models, it's a voice command. On all the models, you can just double tap the button with the mobile phone associated with it. That'll dial the speed dial as well. At the bottom here, again, if you're using the Cardo Connect app as a real-time remote control on your bars, if you hit redial, that'll do the obvious redial your last number, and if you hit voice, that'll pull up your phone's voice assistant. Moving over to the intercom button. So with Packtalk, any of the DMC products, you're going to see up at the top the two different modes, DMC intercom mode or Bluetooth intercom mode. And when you switch that, you're actually changing how that Packtalk headset is acting. Is it acting like a mesh headset? Is it acting like a Bluetooth headset? You can do that from the buttons or you can do that from the app. Back to what I said a moment ago, if I have my phone paired with the Spirit doesn't have DMC mesh. It only can pair with one other headset. So in the app, I'm just seeing that in the intercom section. To show you the same thing with a Freecom 4X, which can actually pair with more riders, if I go to intercom, I see rider A pairing, I see rider B pairing. We don't see anything about mesh because it doesn't have it, but this is where you would go for your Bluetooth intercom pairings. Now back to our trusty Packtalk Edge. For the moment, let's switch it over to Bluetooth intercom mode so we can see what that looks like. And you'll notice that the screen looks the same as it did for the Freecom 4X, right? You have a rider A pairing, you have a rider B pairing. You can actually go into that pairing mode by selecting pair. It's now in pairing mode for rider A. And if you had successfully paired with rider A, then you'll be able to actually tap that button, open the intercom conversation, tap it again, and close it. Of course, you can do that from the unit itself, but just another example of the remote capability of the app. Of course, rider B could be paired on that one. Now, obviously, if you have a Packtalk, Bluetooth is not the mode you want to be in. You want to be in DMC intercom mode. That's the mesh. That's the far superior platform. So let's get back over there. So on this menu, you have a few things going on. Up here, it says select group to activate it. The group with the little green dot is the group that's active, the DMC group that your headset is speaking the language of, if you will. If I select group 1, we can see the members of that group. First off, I'm a member. I'm not the admin of that group. That's okay. But Packtalk Neo and Rider00 are members of this group. When you have the little lock sign, that's who's associated to your private chat. Now, both of these are grayed out because those members are not around. If those units were around and they were on, then you would see them kind of come to life, and certainly I would be able to do the private chat feature with the person that's got the lock symbol next to them. In short, it just allows for a private one-on-one conversation. Even though you're around everybody in your group, you can just have that one-on-one convo. It's a very cool feature. You'll also see the bridge button. Both of these are grayed out because I'm not bridging anybody in. Bridge is the ability to bridge a Bluetooth-only headset into the DMC conversation. Another very cool feature worth checking out. And then, of course, mute. Now, up in the top left, you see this little circle with the number in it, 3. 3 is the total size of this group. That could be 2, that could be 1, it could be 15, but that'll tell you the how many members or people are in that group. And group 1, let's say we wanted to personalize that a little bit. We'll hit the pencil next to the name, and I can type this and make it anything that I want so that it's a little bit easier for me to identify it. Done. Now, at the top right, let's click that real quick. And you can see that the new name, it's called test. I know, it's just easier for me to identify. And then, of course, group 2. Say I wanted to edit these groups. I can just long hold on either of them, select them, and remove them from my library. Of course, I can always just swipe and remove it as well. On the right, I can choose to leave the group that's active, or on the bottom left, start grouping. If I do this, I have the opportunity to name it, test 2, and then my unit's going to leave the active group that I'm in and go into DMC grouping mode. As the other DMC riders that I'm with go into grouping mode as well, you'll see this little count start to go up. 0 riders are connected, obviously because we're not doing that, but if I had one that was joining right now, it would say 1 rider has joined, 2 riders have joined. Once you get the count of what you're looking to have join your group, you can go ahead and say finish, and that new group would be created. Moving on, let's go to music. So music, this is obviously a music player. If I hit play from the app, there's music actually playing in the helmet now. I can skip songs, I can go previous, and of course pause it. These are all things you can do from the unit itself, in most cases, in some units with voice commands. If I go to the top right now the music source is Apple Music. I could switch that so that my source is Spotify, or I can add a different music application. And at the very top right, if I can get it, is the entire music library for that source. Now, you don't have to use the Cardo Connect app for your music. If you just want to open Spotify and play it, or Pandora and play it, go for it. That totally works as well. In the middle here, you see the music share icon. It's grayed out because I don't have anybody that I'm paired with for music share. To set up music share, you'd go to Bluetooth intercom mode in the case of a Packtalk, pair with somebody on your Rider A channel, go back to DMC, and if you were to go back to your music, this would now be a selectable option. When you go to select that, because you paired with somebody on Rider A, now your unit knows where to share the music, who to share the music to, and when you select that, you'd be sharing, if I played some Tom Petty here, it would be sharing the music from my headset to my passenger's headset as well. We'd be listening to the same thing. And then over to FM radio. So the FM radio, if your model has it, is built into the unit itself. You have 6 presets. All of them are empty right now because this has never been used. But if I go ahead and hit play, then the radio would turn on inside the helmet. I'd be on 87.5. I can use this to navigate and scan for the station that I want. If I press and hold, that will then add it to my presets. So if you want to ahead of time, you can just go through, find the presets that you like, the stations that you like, add them as your presets. Again, this is something that you can do from the headset itself. This is a little bit more easy, I think, because you can see what's going on as you do it. Now, up at the top right, the 3 little dots, we've got a couple different options. Edit presets. This is if I really wanted to just go through and change each and every single one of them. I don't want to do that. Top right again. Auto tune presets, probably one of my favorite things to use, especially if you're out and you don't know what the best stations are. You can just hit that real quick, and what it's going to do, it's going to scan and grab the 6 strongest presets for the area that you're in. Now, for this really to work, this unit would have to be in the cradle, and it would have automatically loaded the 6 presets for us. This unit's not in the cradle, so it's not going to happen, but take my word for it, that's exactly what would happen. Let's say I had my 6 presets loaded, the radio is on right now, it's on 106.4. These forward and back buttons, if I tapped forward, it would jump forward to the next preset or back to go to the previous preset. Back at the home screen, now if I go to quick access, this is really designed if you're using the phone bar mounted on the bike. It works vertical, it works also in horizontal mode, and just to give you access to really all the important stuff in one screen. So voice would pull up your phone's voice assistant. In an iPhone's case, Siri. Redial is obvious, and the speed dial, which we said earlier, is set for Ronman. If I tap that, it would call him. Up at the top, I have the time. Up at the top right, I have how much battery is remaining left in my unit. I can switch back and forth between music and FM radio. For instance, if I have music playing and then I go to switch it over to FM radio would now be playing. So I can toggle back and forth between those things, skip forward and back. Music share, again, if I had this paired and it was paired with another unit and this unit knew where to share the music, this would be an option. I could select to share that music. And then down at the bottom, intercom, these are all grayed out right now because there's no other active intercoms around with this Packtalk. But private, that would be my private chat to have those one-on-one conversations. I could tap the bridge button to bridge a Bluetooth intercom into the DMC conversation. And then of course mute. And then at the very top, if you have a second generation DMC headset, you'll see this as an option. Voice recording is the ability to capture not only your voice, but the entire group's voice by simply starting a recording, pausing, saving it as you like, and exporting that recording to wherever you'd like. There's an entire video on that if you'd like to see more information on it. Okay, so let's get into some of the settings now. Up at the top left, we hit that little gear. At the top, you see the name and the email that it's registered with. Right below that, you have your unit. So the unit name, this is where you could go in and change the unit name. Super helpful in DMC group scenarios. Software version, it's going to tell me that yes, I am up to date. And my serial number. Of course, you have the option to reset back to factory settings if you need to. Below that, we've got our audio settings. At the very top, let's go to volume levels. Now at the top, you see a snapshot of the current volume settings of where I'm at now. What I mean by that is phone calls are pretty low, music's pretty low, FM radio's pretty high, but if I were to turn on the FM radio and lower it via the buttons, then I would see that represented here as well. So this isn't carved in stone, this is just where it's at currently. If I want to just go in there and I know that I want music louder, great, I can raise that up, hit save, and that would be my new setting for the music source until, of course, if I were to adjust my volume listening to music, then that would be represented here. Audio mixing level and background volume level. The way to think about these, audio mixing is how much does the music in the background lower when somebody goes to talk. Right now, at 25%, it's very low. So if I'm listening to music, I'm talking with somebody else via DMC, then somebody goes to talk, that music's really going to plummet to the background. If I don't want it to plummet so far, then say I could have it go here. That person talks, the music's only going to go down somewhat a little bit. I like it to plummet to the background when someone's talking. Background volume, now this is, in general, what is the ratio between intercom and music? So if I have it at 90, I'm only going to ever get maximum 90% volume if I'm around a group and we're connected via DMC. If I want that to be 100%, meaning there's no variation between my music and intercom volumes, that would be the case. Or some people want it to sit, kind of in the background and still plummet more when somebody talks, but have a maximum of 70% if they're around other connected headsets. Let's get that back up there. System announcements, that's obvious. You can either have the system talk to you and let you know what's going on or not, and then at what volume would you like that to be the case. The next one down is automatic volume. Now, automatic volume is something that all Cardo models have. It's off by default, and if it's on, first off, when you toggle that switch, it requires you to do a power cycle on the unit. But if it's on, then the system itself will detect ambient noise and automatically raise or lower the volume for you based on the ambient noise. Medium, I like that setting. If you have it a quiet bike, then perhaps you would put that setting on high. Or if you have a very loud bike, perhaps you would make that setting a little bit more stubborn by setting the sensitivity to low. Let's go ahead and just leave it off for demo purposes. Microphone sensitivity. This is the sensitivity of your microphone. Medium, again, works for most cases, but if you'd like again, if you have a quiet bike and you want it to be a little bit more sensitive because you have a quiet environment, then you can raise the sensitivity of the microphone. If you have a loud bike or a loud environment, you can kind of lower the sensitivity of it, make it a little bit more stubborn to your voice. Now with models that have natural voice operation, Packtalk Edge being one of those, you'll see the option for voice control. By default, that's on. That is that awesome capability to say, hey Cardo, volume up, for example, or hey Cardo, music on. If for some reason you don't want that, you can just turn that off. That would completely deactivate natural voice operation. And the one below that is how sensitive is the system and microphone to those commands. That's something that you can play with if you're not having very much success with it, and go from there. Advanced audio settings, let's go there. Intelligent noise block, on by default. What this does, when this is on, the system is doing an incredible job at filtering out background noise that's not meant to be transmitted. In short, it's going to work to make sure that it's removing any sort of background noise and only transmitting the noise of your voice for intercom, phone calls, and such like that. As a tip, if you're using the voice recording feature, sometimes that's a good idea to leave that off so you can pick up some of that ambient, background noise for a more interesting recording. Next one down, smart intercom volume. When this is on, which it is by default, the system is doing its best to level the volume of anybody else in your group so that one person doesn't come across super loud, the other is very quiet. When this is on, it's trying to do its best to average out the volume of all the voices for a better experience. And the bottom one is off by default, two-way radio integration. That's for integrating two-way radio input into an active mobile phone call. Next, let's take a look at the audio profiles. So if we select that, units that ship with Sound by JBL will have this by default. If you buy the 45mm accessory, you can add this to a unit that doesn't currently have it. But in the case of Packtalk Edge, it comes with Sound by JBL. And here we see the 3 specifically tuned profiles that were done by the team at JBL. Audio profiles are on by default. If you wanted to, you could turn them off. Leaving them on is a much richer experience. And then of course, bass boost, high volume, or vocal, depending on your personal taste. Now, if I go back to my Spirit model here for a second and hit the gear on the top left, first off, I have this little flag saying I need to update the firmware. Fine, but the audio profiles, this Spirit model does not ship with the Sound by JBL profiles. It has the standard Cardo profile. You can choose to turn that off or on. Say you wanted to add Sound by JBL, the profiles. Again, if you were to buy the 45mm speaker upgrade, not only does it come with the upgraded 45mm speakers, but it comes with a QR code that you can scan to activate the JBL profiles. So let's try that real quick. Do that, scan the QR code. I've got my QR on the bottom here. Let's see if this works. I can't get it to focus on the QR, so let's enter it manually. Submit. Audio profiles have been successfully activated. Very cool. Now keep in mind, these QR codes, they're one and done, so that is now trash. And here we are. On a Spirit model, I now have the Sound by JBL profiles, exactly like what we had seen on the Packtalk Edge. I can toggle those on and off, and then pick which one you like to your likings. Very cool. Okay, back to the Packtalk Edge. Let's keep going. The next one down is unit language. Now, on this screen, you can select any of these languages, and when doing so, it now changes the language that the device speaks to you. Any sort of audible feedback that it gives you will come in the language that you select. What's even further, natural voice operation, you would then issue the natural voice operations in that language as well, with the only exception of that being Portuguese and Hebrew. When going to select a different language, just be prepared to do a software update so that it can install that language data. Below that, we have your display settings. If we go into that, auto switch will do exactly what your phone does. It's bright during the day, it's dark during the night, day only or night only, which puts it in kind of a dark mode across the board. Leave it on day. RDS is a radio data system, and that enables the unit to retune radio station to an alternative frequency if the primary frequency loses signal strength. This is off by default. FM band, you can just select that based on your regional needs. Below that, you have eco mode. Now, eco mode, if you're riding by yourself, is worth turning on. You get about a 20% bump in battery performance. DMC, by the nature of it, is always searching and looking to make those connections with the other headsets in your group. But if you're riding by yourself and you don't need that, then you can turn on eco mode. The unit will give up looking for other people for about after 2 minutes. And if you rejoin a group or you need to get back in contact with them, just tap your intercom button one time and it'll restart that searching process. Eco mode is off by default. Turning it on is easy, and just as easily you can turn it off. As a homepage preference, You remember on the original homepage, we saw voice recording on top. If we toggle that off, say that's a feature I know I'm never going to use, now it's no longer on there. That is a feature I'm going to use. So of course, we see it back on there as a easy option to select. And then down below, user guides and support. The user guide, first off, list of commands. These are all the commands. You have to say these exactly as written, but these are your natural voice commands. This is in English, obviously. If I had downloaded and I'm using this in a different language, then this would all be represented in that language. The quick guide, here's the quick guide that came in your box originally. Shows you all of the key operations of the unit itself. And that's it for this overview of the Cardo Connect app. Hope you found it helpful.